And one more Waltz line poem. This is Begotten Waltz, Fire. The grave was a bald spot in the grass, and the trees were bare, and the man beneath the dirt, bald when he left us, and downhill since then. Went without complaint, though. Easy as that, he asked, before his eyes swung shut like doors he occasionally slammed. Some nights he'd put a shot of Caro syrup and another of scotch in the girl's milk. Take his, doubled in a milk glass, his feet in ragged slippers, a handkerchief wadded up in his fist. They'd sit at the kitchen table dealing 5-card draw. 7 or 8 the girl was, and good in math. Sometimes they'd divvy up pennies. Sometimes hold the same hand all night. Thank you. I'm going to close this first set with 2 poems about one of my sisters who died in a car accident as a teenager. The reference in the title is the place where we mostly were raised in Juneau, in a tiny little house that was wedged between a body of water and a steep cliff that went up to the roadway. It's called In the House on Gastineau Channel. My sister ironed her dress on a bath towel laid over the walnut table. Heat lifted the varnish and shaped a milk cloud of a missing girl. November tides flushed blue clay and cobbles from beneath the deck, salt water freezing to creosote pilings like pitch. Curly, dark-haired dog, a salmon catcher with a retriever's soft mouth, and she, third from our mother's womb. The baneberry grew like a prophet. Behind the outhouse, we nailed siding in a Sitka spruce, a platform big enough for a sleeping bag and book. Above us, scolding, the red squirrel with a turquoise tumor like a jewel piercing its eyelid. One more. Speaking of injured birds, my brother rescued 2 mallards from the tide flats where their feet had frozen to the icy muck. He'd watched them flap their wings against the tide, had raced to meet them, carried one under each arm, the same birds he and my father hunted in the fall. We kept them in the bathtub for a week, took sponge baths while the ducks watched, dying. And we buried them in the woods, digging beneath February snow. After my sister's funeral, nobody spoke her name. We took our cue from Mom and Dad, pretending she had never lived, until the door fell open and they stood wordless, explaining finally that a dog was dead on the road and they had come home because to them, it wasn't a dog. I was 6 when my father's mother died. My knowledge of her, lap, rocking chair. So when they told me, I whispered that I don't want her to die. And Mom said, I don't either, and pulled me into her lap. That was the talk we had about death. Maybe when Carolyn died, everything had already been said. We continued trying to save injured birds, orphaned squirrels, any life small enough to carry, and they continued dying. A raven with a broken wing was taped and housed, fed bits of raw ground beef. For weeks it lived in a cardboard box, terrible and wounded. And then the raven picked the tape away, plucked at its feathers, and raised its wings. It flew up and down the hallway, window to window, shitting. We opened the door, and it flew squawking into the firs. For the rest of our time together, we relived this one success, this life, winging away without looking back.
Okay, I'm gonna play another. This one's brand new. I recently went through 2 pretty intense breakups, back to back. So we got 5 years of healing I'm doing right now. The song is called Maryanne.
Tides rushing